We've had some fun talking about quantum dot OLEDs and micro LED TVs. How about we take a moment and talk about some TVs that you may actually buy in 2022. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Caleb Dennison, and I am here at Hisense's booth at the Las Vegas Convention Center, taking a look at all of the new products they intend to bring out in 2022. I want to talk to you about 3 TVs in particular, and 1 ultra short throw laser projector that we got to look at because you got to know about this thing. So let's dig into it right now. Before we start talking about nits and zones, do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoy what we're putting out here from CES 2022. Also, hit me with a comment down in the comments section. What do you think of what you've seen so far? What's your favorite piece of tech coming out of CES so far? Thanks so much, as always. Now, let's do it. Okay, so let's talk about Hisense's hottest 3 TVs for 2022. I'm talking about the U9, the U8, and the U7. Now, there's some question about whether it's going to be the U9H, U8H, U7H. We don't actually know, but for all intents and purposes, we can just call it U9, U8, and U7. We'll start at the top. That would be the U9. The big news here is that the U9 is going to have mini LED backlighting technology. It's going to push up to 2,000 nits, and there are over 1,200 zones, depending on the size of the television. I believe that the U9 is only going to be available in a 75-inch size this year. So if you want the best technology that Hisense is offering in a TV this year, it's going to be a 75-inch TV. Now, we move down to the U8 or U8H. That also is going to have a mini LED backlighting system. It's not going to be quite as powerful as the U9. It's going to top out at about 1,500 nits, and it's got fewer zones. You're probably not going to get more than 500 zones of local dimming out of the U8, but it still should be a very competitive TV. And as you would expect, when you step down to the U8, you're going to step down in price quite a bit as well. And there's a wider array of sizes to be had as well. Going down to the U7. Now, the 7 series is going to be mostly unchanged over prior year. It's got a little bit of a design tweak, but we're still talking about a standard LED backlighting system for a quantum dot television. It's going to top out at about 1,000 nits, which, let's just talk about that for a second. Hisense has consistently outperformed their claims, so I wouldn't be surprised if it pushed more than 1,000 nits. It doesn't have as many zones of local dimming as we would expect from the 7 series, but it's also going to be super affordable. Now let's talk about gaming potential for a moment. This year, Hisense is promising at least 2 HDMI 2.1 capable ports on the TVs, the U9, the U8, and the U7. Now, in some cases, you may get 2 4K 120. In other cases, you might only get 1 4K 120 and a 4K 60. Kind of depends on the individual model. We'll also dig into it once we review these televisions, but the important part is they will be supporting 4K 120, variable refresh rate, auto low latency mode, and all the other goodies that you would expect from the HDMI 2.1 spec, which, well, it's not exactly a spec anymore, is it? It's very confusing. But the point is, the Hisense TVs will be ready for top-notch gaming going forward. Now, as usual, Hisense is not going to divulge pricing or availability dates for these TVs. That never comes out at CES. We'll be finding out about that probably closer to late February, March, but I do expect that Hisense, once again, is going to be offering more performance for the dollar than pretty much all of the competition, and that would include TCL. Now, I mentioned earlier, I want to talk about ultra short throw projectors. Hisense has 2 trichroma, that's 3 laser projectors that are available. The L9, which is actually not new, but I'm finally seeing it for the first time. A really impressive projector. They have really shrunk down the size of these projectors quite a bit, and they put out less heat. Now, as I said before, the L9 is a 3 laser projector. That green laser, however, doesn't exactly conform to the BT 2020 spec. Now, that's not a problem for most people, but in an effort to constantly up the ante, Hisense has developed a new Trichroma Pro L9 projector. This has a different laser system built into it, gets a little bit brighter, about 4,000 lumens or almost 500 nits, which for a ultra short throw projector is very impressive. And if you pair that with an ALR or ambient light rejection screen, you're talking about something that can function as a TV, not just a traditional projector. It's way easier to set up, bright enough to watch when you've got daylight coming into the room. Unfortunately, we can't show that here because everything's darkened up, but these are really impressive looking projectors. And since Hisense is now in its third, fourth, fifth generation of these things, the prices are finally coming down. So if you're looking at doing something 80 inches or larger, 100, 120, even 130, these things are definitely worth looking into. One more thing I want to mention on the TV front, most of Hisense's ULED TVs, so in this case the U9, U8, and U7 are all going to be Google TVs. Hisense still supports Roku in some of their models, but if you want to get the best from Hisense this year, it's going to be a Google TV. And I haven't had a chance to play around with it much, but I have noticed that the response time from the interface has improved over the last year or so, so I expect even better things this year. So that's the rundown from Hisense, 3 really hotly anticipated TVs and an ultra short throw projector that you should definitely be taking a look at if you want to go big. There's also lots more to come from Hisense, and we're going to talk about that at digitaltrends.com. But for now, I think we're going to wrap up here. Enjoy the rest of this show, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, as always, for watching, everyone. What do you think about Hisense's offerings this year? Is this the year that you're going to pick up a Hisense TV in 2022? Leave me a comment about that down below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and here's 2 other videos that I think you'll like.